Usually we're talking about at least for the 1 year period prior to the
Okay.
closing. So what we're looking for is a tradition so that we could see a history of how the route was operating, what the expenses have been during that period, and basically to really determine what the true net is. We're not, hey, these are businesses. If someone is claiming their wife's car as part of the business expense, I understand why they might be doing it and why their accountant might be encouraging them to do something like that. But that's not a business expense. So when we always want to do a recast of the true business expenses that are necessary to operate the route. That's on the seller side. And we will compile all of that information so that the buyer will be given, I think I mentioned it earlier, a snapshot of each of the routes. And the seller can also prove out all of that information to the buyer when the buyer and seller meet. And the buyer and seller, obviously, they will be meeting, and the buyer will, we want him to ride on the route. Sometimes a buyer will come in and say, oh, based upon everything you said, I want this route. And we say, well, you can't put down a deposit. We won't accept the deposit until you've met with the seller, because sometimes when you meet with the seller, he'll give you additional information. You'll want additional facts. We want to make sure that you have everything answered. On the buyer side, what we do is we really try to make sure that the buyer understands what this business is all about. And we try to help them based upon how much they have to invest, how much they need to net,